The floating city breathes in tears, music above, fire in its entrails. In the salons, crystals glimmer like small domesticated constellations. The hull rocks conversations, restrained laughter, and plans for arrival. In the long corridors, steady footsteps trace routines. The night, so clear, feels like an agreement between man and sea. Everything suggests continuity, and for that very reason, it seems eternal. While the ship breathes in cadence, each section fulfills its role like a gear in a vast clock. Up high, eyes measure the darkness. On the bridge, the course is a line drawn by steady hands. Below decks, oil, steam, and steel compose a music with no audience. Through the corridors, families adjust clothes, put away photographs, arrange suitcases. There are letters to be read and desserts on the way, as if the night were a never-ending salon. The Titanic is architecture in motion. Avenues of deck beneath four funnels, salons that resemble palaces, and holds that sing like metal organs. Carved wood and delicate stucco coexist with valves and steel columns, in a harmony only the new century dared to imagine. Below, engines rise like naves of a temple, and the gentle vibration says, the floating city rules the night. It is too vast to seem fragile, and therefore it seems eternal. The warning is borne up high, where the wind first meets the world's things. A bell tone crosses masts and cables, and the bridge answers in the language of brass. The hull alters its music, a deep, drawn-out brushing that sets crystals and polished wood humming. On the foredeck, ice appears like an unlikely visitor. Below, thin threads show where once there was only dry steel. The floating city does not stop, but it breathes differently, like one who senses the night has another layer. The giant shortens its stride, like someone drawing in breath before a bend. The bridge rewrites lines on the chart, and more eyes join the horizon. In the mechanical holds, the pulse skips a few beats out of prudence. The decks remain alive, but the cold feels sharper, and the air more alert. Nothing breaks, nothing falls, only a new silence among the gears. The giant feels the blow as a change in its very skeleton, and steel learns the word fissure. There is no scream. There is a long rumble that crosses bulkheads and corridors, as if the ship were breathing wrong. Instruments become voice, needles drift, clocks stretch, the vibration changes key. Water writes numbers in the dark. Doors and pumps are the muscles that still obey. The decision lies in the holds, where the city of steel decides how much time remains. The ship begins to speak in degrees and amperes. The clinometer's bubble leaves the center, and the steel of the corridors changes sound under hurried steps. More pumps ask for more current, and the switchboard lights numbers that didn't flicker like this before. Water, patient, changes level and chooses new doors. Above, music and protocols try to fix a rhythm the hull no longer fully obeys. There is still light, but it works harder than before. With every minute, the ship needs more light to move the water, and more water to explain the light that's missing. Generators deliver current to pumps that beat like borrowed hearts. The list redraws doors, steps, and tables. Comfort discovers gravity. Below, corridors lose height and gain liquid sheen, and routes change decks. Above, wood, rope, and brass continue their rigid choreography. The Titanic, vast, tries to buy time, and time grows shorter. The ship consults its own instruments like someone searching for a pulse. Brass, glass, and wood keep discipline as the curve of the hull meets the higher sea. Power goes where the pumps demand, and the sound of the gangways changes with gravity. On the decks, the choreography of boats continues, now with haste measured in pulleys. Below, every step stolen by water shortens a route. The Titanic still imposes its scale, and even so, feels the weight of every centimeter. deck planking learns new angles, and the canvas of the collapsible boats becomes sail before it becomes water. The hull, enormous, converses with the sea through seams and rivets, and the holds translate into levels what the decks feel underfoot. The bow drops an invisible step, and the well deck receives spray that yesterday would have been unthinkable. Up high, the mast remains firm. Around, the boats multiply distances. The Titanic tries to stretch time with precise gestures. When the angle grows, habit unravels. Corridors that taught the way now complicated, and the air trades rhythm with the steps. The crew holds the line, but the line stretches. Ropes become borders and doors, bottlenecks. Water pushes haste through the holds, and the canted deck creates haste in the eyes. The music tries to give shape to the night, but the hull dictates the tempo. The Titanic remains gigantic. That is why the turmoil also seems larger. Light gives up slowly, as if turning off rooms in a very large house. The ship attempts one last gesture and breaks, as if the very line of the deck chose another path. Then, only the fall, and the sea closes the book without the noise of a page. There remain concentric waves, planks, a little warmth ebbing away, and a sky so bright with stars it seems indifferent. The night grows around, and the cold learns to weigh in the bones. The boats pull away in crooked lines, each oar a beat of survival. The sea returns pieces of wood, cushions, letters that will never arrive. The lanterns are small moons trembling in the wind. The ship's noise vanishes, and the silence almost startles. In the dark, each breath is proof of time. The night loosens its fingers, and the eastern line lights a silver thread over the ice. The boats recognize each other in the returning light, and hands become bridges again. On the horizon, a hull answers with smoke and course, and among the planks, there are those who breathe deeper. The water keeps what it took. The morning returns names to the survivors. The Titanic is gone. Day returns color to what remained, and names to what endures. On the decks of another ship, cold meets blankets, and thirst meets hot metal. Boats rise from the sea, still dripping stars, and on deck there is a pile of life jackets that no longer need to float. The Atlantic keeps the rest, not out of malice, but out of immensity. Between ice and steam, survival changes its music. The Titanic is gone. The memory is not.